we have sweet potato slips that are ready to go. And that means if we have a place to put them, to experiment with them, we'll have them ready to go right away. Guten Yardening, everybody. Well, I would say that sweet potatoes and potatoes are two of our biggest passions here at Guten Yardening. And a couple of weeks ago, we did a video where we talked about overwintering sweet potatoes. And so we've harvested some of the vines from a recent sweet potato harvest. We placed them in water, and now we have sweet potato slips that are ready to go and be planted here in the middle of November in Zone 5, Wisconsin. And you can see we're in an indoor growing area because there's no way we're going to be able to grow these outdoors right now with the heavy winter coming our way. Now, already this season, we've had success growing in our GreenStalk vertical gardens. We have 2 of them outside, even now, growing kale, Swiss chard, and strawberries, and they've been fantastic. Earlier in the season, we even grew red, white, and blue potatoes, and we saw some good success there, and that got us thinking, with the original GreenStalk that has 10 inches of depth, it's highly possible that we can grow some nice sweet potatoes. And so a large part of our motivation comes from trying to see just how much we can do with these GreenStalks. And as a family, we've grown so many sweet potatoes and so many different varieties of sweet potatoes successfully. But one thing we've never done is tried to grow them indoors. So let's go ahead and take a look at the space where we're growing these, and let's get this setup started. Before I set this GreenStalk up, I need to show you where we're going to be placing it. This is our 4x8 VivaSun grow tent, and this is where it's going to go, right over in this corner on the opposite side from our raised bed. Now, if you haven't seen any of our indoor content before, I highly recommend you check it out. Well, first and foremost, for this indoor unit, we have a GreenStalk mover. That is our new base for this so that we can easily move these pieces around. Now, the wheels, there are actually 2 different kinds of wheels on here. One of them has the locking mechanism and the other one doesn't. So I'm just going to make sure that I do an alternating assembly here. So it's really simple, and that way I can make sure that this stays in place. And the main reason why we're doing this is pretty simple. With a lot of weight, we want to be able to move easily instead of tearing up the flooring here. So there we go. We're a couple of inches off the floor. Now, the other reason why we're doing this, you can actually see a little hole here in the base, and it comes right out this side, just like so. And we have a black cap that comes with this assembly, and that black cap can go right over the edge, just like that, and it will prevent the water from leaking out. When you water it from up above and all the water settles down, there will eventually be some residue down here at the bottom, and you don't want that running all over your floor. So one of these, I think, is a pretty ideal catch system. This also comes with a piece of tubing, and this piece of tubing is there because you can take the black cap off, place the tubing here, and you can allow excess water to run out or drain out as well. So you can actually catch it anytime you want, which is what we'll probably do. But it's also a great way to know that you've thoroughly watered your GreenStalk setup. Well, now that we've got our mover base set up, I'm going to take this first tier and set it up. And I'm going to show you what we did for our potting mix, and I think you're going to like this. Something to remember about the original GreenStalks, these are a 10-inch depth as opposed to the leaf GreenStalks, which are 7 inches deep. So I think this gives us a little bit more depth for our sweet potatoes. So there we go. It sits on there really nicely, moves around nicely, and we need to go ahead and put our mix in here. Now, normally when we're growing indoors, we use a potting mix that we make ourselves, but we couldn't pass this one up. This is organic Miracle-Gro potting mix, and we got it for $1 a bag. It's normally $9 per bag, but we got it for $1 a bag at the end of the season. And this is why you go out and you take a good look at the clearance items at the ends of seasons, because we got 38 bags of this. We're down to our last 5, but we got 38 bags of this for $38. So basically, because we need about 5 square feet of mix to fill this entire GreenStalk, it's going to cost us about $5 to go ahead and get everything planted. All right, I've gone ahead and filled up this bottom tier about 3/4 of the way. Now, eventually, as the sign says here, I am going to have to fill the soil all the way up, but I'm not doing that yet because I don't want to make a mess. I've dug 3 holes because I'm going to put in 3 of these sweet potato slips. I don't want to overpack anything in here because they need room to grow. Now here I have a mixture of bone meal azomite and langbionite. So not very much nitrogen, but definitely our potassium and our phosphorus are here because we want to give these roots plenty of opportunity to grow. And we also have some mycorrhizal in there to help with root development as well, and to really help the plants be able to pull in those nutrients from the soil. So I'm going to put this in here around where the roots are going to be to give them the best chance of taking off well. Now let's take a look at the roots that have formed. Oh man, I packed this jar, didn't I? Look at all those roots that are on here. All this root development happened while these were in quarantine. We quarantined them so we didn't bring any aphids in. Now we've got these separated nice and carefully. We don't want to damage the roots, but I want to show you what we've done. By putting them in water and allowing multiple nodes to be underwater, we've got root development all the way up the stem. And if I had buried where this leaf is, I'm just going to pull this leaf off. If I had buried this under there as well, we'd have had another area where roots would have come out. And this is perfect because we want to bury this nice and deep. Now I want to bury this at an angle that's kind of off to the side here. So nice and deep. The goal is good depth, so as far down as we can get it here, and cover it back up. So we're covering up all these nodes, but again, we're not covering up any leaves because we don't want any kind of rotting to occur. Now I'm going to pile this up here. I'm not really compressing it. I'm just piling this up here because remember, we're going to add some more of this mix here in a bit. And because we have our mover, we can just spin it around like so. And I'm going to pick the next nice one. Well, quite frankly, they're all nice. They've all got really nice thick stems because of how we pick them. So I'm looking for ones with multiple nodes, at least 3 nodes of root growth, some really nice healthy roots. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to bury it off to the side just like this. Lots of depth here, and there we go. And we'll put our third one in now. Now if you compare these slips and the size and the quality of these to ones that you would buy perhaps at the store or greenhouse, these are way farther along and these are in great shape. Now I'm going to come back through and I'm going to level this up. Now if you're brand new to the GreenStalk growing system, one of the reasons why we want to fill this mix up to the top is because of this watering system. Because if you leave space underneath, you're going to have some movement here, and that's not something you really want. You see these little circles in here in this water catch system are there to water each of these pockets. And you'll see when we get this fully assembled that we're watering from the top one spot, and it's going to flow the whole way down as long as we have it set up correctly. So I'm going to add a little bit more mix, and then we're going to add on that second tier. Now I've repeated the process for the second tier here, and I'm going to show you how they interlock here in a second, but you can already see still moving around nice and easily, and I've alternated where these pockets are. So we're here, now we're moving over, and I'll keep doing that the whole way across so we have maximum growth on the outside. Check out the roots on that one. You know, I'm only picking the best of the best, and there are quite a few varieties that we have here because remember, we planted about 7 varieties of sweet potatoes this year. Now we didn't grab slips from all of them, but we've got quite a few different vines in here, so it'll be interesting to see what we end up with when all is said and done. Well, I just finished putting the 4th layer on, so as I go ahead and lay down this top layer, I want to point out 2 more things. One, you see the little holes in here. Well, those holes should be facing out toward each pocket, so that's pretty important there. And the second thing, and this might be one of the most important parts of assembly, you want to make sure that each one of these lips is situated properly so that it locks in place. And you're going to want to do that the whole way around so that this is as stable as can be. All right, the last thing that I need to assemble here is the watering trough that goes right on top, and that settles down nicely. And this is where we're going to be watering. You can see the hole down here in the center that's going to flow down each subsequent tier, and then it's going to spread all the way through all 5 tiers until it comes down to that mover at the bottom. And because I have that mover on the bottom, even with all 5 of these tiers, all it takes is a tiny bit of effort to turn this around. And take a look at all those nice and healthy sweet potato slips in here. Now I've got to get this watered, and then it's going to be on its way. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get this watered as long as it takes to get the water to flow the whole way through this system. And if you listen carefully, You can hear the water running down the system. Now I'm going to keep adding water to this until I see it come out of this tube down into this catch tray, and that's how we know we've got enough water in there. Now the water that's filled those catch trays up above, that's going to drip in here slowly, so we're not going to get a flood and it's not going to overwater. Well, this is definitely taking up some vertical space, but it's not really taking up a huge footprint inside of our grow area, so we have plenty of room to grow other things. Now the key here is, what kind of lighting are we going to use? So now it's going to change color in here a little bit because we have a Morrison 2000 watt full spectrum light here that we used last year when growing potatoes, and we also have a light time tunnel 300 watt, and then we have this recessed bay light here. And so we're going to have to figure out the lighting situation for this grow tower to see what works best. So I'm going to turn on our fan, get the air circulating in here, and we're going to keep it around 74 or 75 degrees in here, and we're going to get this started growing. Well, we hope you enjoyed this video. We hope you're excited to see what comes next as we start growing our sweet potatoes here in our GreenStalk vertical garden. Well, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give us a like, leave us a comment, remember to share and subscribe, and most importantly, remember, when you're with us, you are good to grow.